Today on CityCast Nashville, what if I told you that there is a free service here in Nashville that helps MNPS seniors navigate the transition to higher education and stays with them until they get that degree? Persist Nashville has already helped thousands of our public school kiddos take that step. And as the class of 2026 starts looking towards their future, Persist Executive Director Jennifer Hill and program alum Annalise Lytle are here to tell us all about it. It's Wednesday, October 15th. I'm your executive producer, Whitney Pasterek, and this is what Nashville's talking about. So, y'all, I don't want to date myself, but I will admit that I applied for college in, we'll call it the early 90s, and people at home can do the math on that. But Annalise, what is that application process like today, and what was your journey like?
I applied to college in 2019 and went to college in 2020. But I remember the first talkings of college started in 8th grade. From 8th grade all the way until junior year of high school, I was considering the different colleges that I might be interested in. And a lot of the application process for me revolved around doing tours and seeing where my interests lay within my interests of a major. And they also revolved around connecting with my advisors in my school and really kind of communicating with them what my interests were. And they kind of helped me narrow that down.
Did you feel like you had enough support during that process to be successful?
Because of my parents, yes. But I think it was hard for every student to really have that support. A lot of the support came from interest. So if you were interested and you communicated that, then there were people that you might be able to find within the school system that could help you. But overall, if you never communicated any interest, I didn't feel like there were a lot of advocates going out of their way to really get students to college.
Jennifer, let's bring you in. In your experience, what happens to those kids who maybe don't have the parental support that Annalise had?
There's a lot more probably on-ramps to college these days than there were when we were applying. Data tells us that about 80% of MNPS students will take at least one step towards a college-going step. So that could be completing a Tennessee Promise application, which is our free community college program here in Tennessee, or it might be completing the federal financial aid federal form, the FAFSA, to try and see what college affordability might look like. So I think there's some more on-ramps. But I think Annalise is correct, is that students need to be clearly communicating what their interests and preferences are around what happens after high school graduation to receive the support that they need.
And right now, only 1 in 4 Metro Nashville Public Schools students earns a college degree within sort of a reasonable amount of time after they graduate high school. Why do you think that is? And are those barriers predominantly financial for these kids, or is it something else?
Yeah, I think it's a couple of different things. So the college going rate for Davidson County, so the going rate, not the completion rate, was only right at 49% for the class of 24. So we have about half of our students who are not even attempting to enroll in college in the year immediately following graduation, which is certainly going to lead to lower percentages of completion. And I think it's a really complex picture. I think, college has the perception of not being affordable. A little bit over half of our students will identify as first generation. So they may be students who don't have college knowledge in their family or in their network. Frankly, the job market isn't bad if you're coming out of high school as a recent grad. If you can get a job at $20 or $25 an hour, that's a really interesting value proposition for an 18-year-old as well. So there's a lot of factors that go in. I think affordability, family obligations, and what ways are you expected to contribute there. And I think a little bit of what Annalise just talked about not having clear advocates for all of our young people, encouraging them and showing them the different pathways that a post-secondary degree can open up are all important reasons why students may not be going there or completing.
So Persist Nashville, it's a college persistence counseling service. It's not just here's how to get into college, but how to thrive at college and beyond. This actually started in 2019, Annalise, the same year that you were starting to look towards college. So how did you find them and what was your experience working in that program? How did it help?
One of my advisors, right when the COVID pandemic had hit, sent out an email to all the students letting them know of the resource. And usually, I think in high school, I did not like to accept help. But because of the COVID pandemic that was going on, I was like, you never know what's going to happen. And I decided to think about, I might actually need help. So this is a great resource that I should reach out to. And I think also just culturally during that time, everything was very unknown on top of the unknowns of college, that it just provided this more sense of security that I was kind of wanting going into college in this unknown time.
So Jennifer, let's talk about how Persist actually works. What's the difference between what y'all do and what a typical maybe college coach would do? I think of that as like, I'll help you write your essay and I'll help you get your CV together.
It primarily has to do with when we meet our students. So a college counselor or a college access coach may meet their student as a sophomore year, junior year, but we're not meeting our students until second semester of senior year. And what we're really looking to do is to be the bridge between two really complex systems, the K-12 system that you're finishing up your time in, and the higher education system, which you want to transition into. And so very much like what Annalise said, we provide one-on-one coaching through a text-based platform to support students during their first 2 years of college, those years that are so important to getting established in your major, getting established into a new community, finding a sense of belonging, and really finding, kind of beginning to envision what you want that next phase of life to look like.
And where are you meeting these students? Is this available to any MNPS rising senior?
Yes, it's available to any MNPS Rising Senior. And we go into high schools and we meet students in high schools with their counselors in their advisories and their English classes and after school clubs to just let them know that this support is available. We coach students from all 27 Metro Nashville high schools, and anyone is welcome to complete an interest survey and let us know how we can best support them.
All right. So how does this actually work? I've completed my interest survey. Let's say I've already gotten accepted by MTSU, but I'm a little bit nervous. What services do you provide me?
So if you fill out an interest survey and you tell us you're going to MTSU, we're going to send you a text message. And if you respond to that text message, we're going to begin immediately coaching you around the milestones you need to enroll at MTSU and gauging the level of support that you're going to need once you arrive at MTSU or through that kind of orientation and registration process. So the milestones that students go through are pretty standardized, but the level of support is quite unique based upon the way in which students engage with us and what they choose to share with us and how they are willing to partner for their success. So that could look like we're doing virtual meetings every couple of weeks to make sure you're on track. It could be that we're meeting you on campus in between classes. It could be that you're coming to some of the events that we host looking for an internship or looking for a job to help pay for school. So it's really driven, the level of coaching is really driven by students' vulnerability, interest, and availability to participate.
Annalise, how much did you take advantage of the program?
I would say I was probably more on the active side just because I consider my coach to be my mentor now. So, my coaches were there during rougher patches of college where I really didn't know how to handle certain situations. And I think they were there to support me in those moments.
Jennifer, I'm looking at an old annual report for Persist Nashville, and it says that your team and your coaches sent 110,948 text messages just in 2023. That is a lot.
That is a lot. It's a lot because we're serving a lot of students, right? So our goal is to connect with students. Weekly is ideal. Bi-weekly is more realistic. And as long as we're hearing from students every 30 days, we feel like we are connected and in touch and aware of the levels of support they need.
Okay, can I ask a super blunt question?
Absolutely, do it.
Is this free?
Yes.
This is free?
It is at no cost to students.
That's amazing. Sorry, I'm a little mind boggled by that.
I mean, I think, from a very practical point of view, having more college graduates in a city, particularly students who grew up and graduated from the public schools, is very, very good for Nashville, right? Students like ours, who many of whom identify as first generation, staying connected with us and building relationships through this kind of network helps them build their social capital and build their network for when they kind of graduate from college and then move into the workforce. So I think, selfishly, this is really heart work for me and for many of the folks on my team, but it's really community work on behalf of the future of Nashville as well.
Hi, I'm Michael Ziviak, Chief Revenue Officer of CityCast. Why do most of us want to learn a new language? It's because we want to speak it out in the real world with real people. Babbel gets you there fast. My daughter's a senior in high school, and after she graduates, we're taking a father-daughter trip to Spain. I know, she's spoiled, but that's on me. I'll be honest, my Spanish right now is pretty much tops out at ¿Dónde está la biblioteca? But when we get there, I want to actually talk to people, order food, and really connect with the locals, not just stumble through the basics. That's why I'm starting with Babbel. Learning a language with Babbel is all about small steps, big wins, and progress you can actually track and feel. And with how busy things get here at CityCast, I love that Babbel's bite-sized, 10-minute lessons fit perfectly into my day, whether it's between meetings or while I'm having coffee in the morning. I'm really excited to start picking up real-world Spanish before our trip so we can experience Spain in a more meaningful way. Right now, Babbel has a special deal for our listeners. Get up to 55% off your subscription at babbel.com/citycast. That's BABBEL.com/citycast for up to 55% off. Rules and restrictions may apply. Gracias and adios.
Annalise, what are you doing now?
So I graduated with my master's in organizational leadership in 2024. I could not have done that timeline without the help of my coaches that I had. They helped me kind of nail down a good pathway in terms of the timeline and everything. But once I graduated with that, I lived in Nashville for about almost a whole year. And then I finally got hired at a job in Louisville, Kentucky, at a nonprofit that works in animal welfare, specifically for community outdoor cats. So now I do my social media and email marketing and donor management experience and administration experience that I gathered during my college times. So it's been amazing getting to use the tools that I gathered from college, but also through my relationship with Persist and bringing it to a new community and moving somewhere different.
Jennifer, what about kids who maybe think that college isn't right for them and they want to go to trade school or do an apprenticeship? Can Persist Nashville help support them too?
Absolutely. About 60% of our students identify as first generation college students. So we're working with lots of students who have backgrounds similar to Annalise's and many kids who do not share the same exact background as Annalise. And we actually do coach across multiple type of post-secondary types. So we coach 4-year college students, we coach 2-year community college students, and we coach technical school students because we're relatively agnostic on what institution you attend, but believe that graduating with a post-secondary degree or credential is going to set you up to be very competitive in this Nashville community and economic climate.
Okay, so I'm not a parent, but let's pretend I am. My kid's going to Overton. They're a senior this fall. What's the first steps if I want to take advantage of Persist?
Complete an interest survey. We have that link on our website, and you can just, when you complete that survey, it'll go into our system. I know a lot of kids right now are not really thinking about this phase of college transition. They're thinking about application. They're thinking about those type of things too. So I would say also keep an eye out for when we're on your campus. We're out in the community quite a bit. We're going to be coming to high school campuses near you. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if mom and dad or parents parent or family or guardian are interested in this program, but your student isn't quite there yet. That's completely normal, which is why we come in the second semester of senior year.
If I wanted to volunteer, what could I do?
We plug you in as we're building those networks around our college juniors and seniors. So we're looking to connect them with internships, mentors, helping with resume review and interview prep and those type of things. Those really kind of pre-workforce type activities that allow students to gain exposure and experience with different types of adults in the community as they prepare to become members of that community themselves.
Y'all, I'm just so impressed by this whole thing. Again, not a parent, wasn't even aware this existed, but it feels like this is really filling an important gap in the experience of our public high school students. So how can we be doing better for them in general?
I think really believing that post-secondary opportunities are important, right? That they're not important for just a certain group of students. They're important for everyone, and recognizing that a student's ability to take advantage of those can be right after high school graduation, but it might also be later as well. I think a lot about, with only 50% of students going to college in the year immediately following high school graduation, that means 50% of our students are just floating in the community, and they may be attached to a system or a program, but they may not be. And so I think really thinking deeply about what our city and our community wants from our young people, 18 to 24, would be such an amazing conversation to have together.
Annalise, do you think it's easy for kids today coming out of high school?
I would definitely say no to that. There's just so much information at once, but it's also so hard to know what to do with the information or to find it just because there's so much. At least what I struggled with the most, and I'm grateful my parents were able to help me during that process, was deciding what the next step exactly was. Because there's so many different options, it's really hard to determine what the best fit is. And I think kind of what Jennifer touched on earlier, with the wages being higher for recent high school graduates, a lot of students might want an immediate satisfaction of this kind of salary, and they aren't thinking as long term. So I would say it's definitely not easy.
So what's the most important thing that a high school senior can be doing right now in October to prepare themselves for what's to come?
Talk to a trusted adult about what you want to be true when you graduate from high school. And don't let assumptions be made by either not engaging in the conversation or waiting to engage in that conversation. I think that's the most important thing for so many of our young people, is to have a conversation about their future with a trusted adult.
I don't mean to be dark with this question, but what if the person doesn't have a trusted adult?
There are so many great youth-serving organizations that are in our schools as well. We could not be nearly as successful with the work that we do without our partners at Oasis College Connection, our partners at Martha O'Brien's Top Floor and Academic Student Unions, Conexión Americas' Escalara, the YCAP's Achievers Program. There's tons of people who want to support young people who are attached to the schools, who are there to have these conversations with you and to help you kind of figure out the path that you want to go on. And as a former educator, I would be remiss in saying that your English teacher and math teacher probably want to have those conversations as well. It's okay to be vulnerable and share what you're thinking with safe and trusted adults that are in and around your community.
Annalise, it sounds like you really did have an incredible support system around you. I think that's so cool. Do you think you would have made it if you didn't have all of that?
I think I would have still made it through college, but I don't think that I would have gotten the leadership skills that I have now without the support that I had from my coaches. And I think my coaches really provided me with very strong tools to make decisions, whether it's during my college experience or just to use during everyday life or for job decisions. So I'm very grateful for that.
Jennifer, Annalise, thank you so much for being here and telling us about this incredible free program. I really appreciate y'all's time. Thanks for sharing your stories with us and what you do.
Thanks so much, Whitney. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
That's all for today here on CityCast Nashville. And hey, if you're a parent who loves finding out about amazing local programs and opportunities like this, why not support this show by becoming a CityCast Nashville neighbor at membership.citycast.fm? And if you enjoyed the show, why not also tell your friends? Rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our Hey Nashville newsletter. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Y'all take care of each other.